Hi, Mama. Hey, I've got a question for you. Are you being affected by the motherhood penalty? Did you know that mums overall end up being traditionally less successful, yes, than men, but also other females who ended up not having children? My name is Elizabeth Gulliver, and I consider myself a mum championing mums. And I would love to capture the attention of women who have raised young children and who are now getting a little bit of time back for themselves. But instead of allowing that time to be sucked up by what's nearest and most convenient, let's look at how we can create a life that means that the rest of your life you're living from a heart-centered space and that you're living your dreams. Now, I will be interviewing mostly mums who have gone through this period and who are now doing amazing things. So if you are a morally and spiritually focused feminine mama who enjoys traditional family values, this will be great for you. Now, it's my podcast and I love talking about femininity as well. I love talking about spirituality and I love talking about the whole family and how we can win together. Now, if you're curious about that motherhood penalty, then I have put a little quiz together for you that you can get free in my toolkit. You'll find it on elizabethgulliver.com. Okay, on with the show. Welcome. Today I'm very lucky because I get to talk to two amazing ladies. I have Liz O'Brien and Candice Shepard with me today. And these two ladies are shaking things up. And I'm really excited for them to be able to explain to us something which is called the Aurora Network. Now, these are actually two ladies who are very accomplished already. We've got Candice, who's in North Carolina. We've got Liz, who's in just off Florida. So you guys are being able to rock this world, even when you're not living close together. Ladies, welcome.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Thank you. So good to be here.
Oh, you're so welcome. So, I mean, the reason that we're here on my part is because I really, really want to inspire mums, and I want to inspire them when they get to the point where maybe they're getting a little bit of time back for themselves to then be the best they can be, bring their best to the world, and to focus on what they really want and what desires they have and what lights them up. And I'd love to know individually for both of you, your journey with motherhood. Like, did you find it super easy? Was it hard? How old were your kids when you started to think, oh, you know what, I can let them do a little bit more by themselves now, and I'm going to be able to do something on my own? Could you tell, maybe Candice, let's start with you.
Yeah, I'd love to talk about that. I have 4 kids. They're 21, almost 20, 17, and 16. And so Liz and I are on different seasons of our motherhood journey. And when I had my first child, I was a litigator. I was in court all the time. And I thought, I'm going straight back to work, and I'm a career girl. I'm gonna crush it, and I can do this motherhood thing. It'll be so easy, and And they handed that baby to me, and I said, "Oh no, I'm not letting somebody else raise this child for me." So I set about wrapping that up, and I took about 10 years off, I think. And when I say took it off, I continued to learn and continued to grow, and did little things here and there. Motherhood was very challenging to me when they were little, and I can remember thinking, "Oh my gosh, this is so hard." But it was so important to me to pour into these tiny humans that God had gifted me with and given me the responsibility to raise. So I took that time to really pour into them, and then when they were all in elementary, I started going back a little bit more, and then high school and college a little bit more. And I created work situations where I could be more flexible, so that I could still be mom, but still do things that I really, really loved to do. You hear, don't waste that intellect, don't waste that degree, don't do this, don't do that. And for me, it was all about making it work for us, and for my family, for my kids and me.
Was that still your passion? Because I think a lot of ladies find that when they go through the process of raising small children, it requires so much of you that some ladies, not all, but some ladies start to learn that they have maybe other strengths that they didn't know before, and therefore also other interests. So were you still going after the same goals?
I pivoted pretty significantly after my kids came along, and one of my kiddos is adopted. And when he came into my life, I pivoted really significantly. I think I was just very open to what God was doing in my life, and because of that, I was willing to shift my career to fit, rather than making my life fit my career. I shifted
Right.
my career to make it fit my life, because I didn't want to sacrifice anything. I didn't want to sacrifice my children or my brain or my education or anything. I wanted to make sure that what I was doing was in line with what God had for me. And so I made those shifts in order to accomplish the things that I wanted to do within the confines of how I wanted
Wow.
my life and my future to look. So, and I make it sound really easy and simple, like it just happened, and that is not the case. There was a lot of tears and a lot of prayer and a lot of,
Yeah,
oh my
but you
goodness, this
made
is
it
not what I'm
work.
supposed to be doing. So yeah, there were a lot of shifts. Yeah, and I think you can make it work, but I think when you asked me, did something change? I'm like, oh my goodness, yes, everything changed. When you bring tiny
Everything
humans into
changes.
the world,
Yeah.
everything changes, and that's
Yeah.
not a
Oh,
bad thing. That's a
absolutely.
good thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I feel like
grow
we
with
do
it.
get to uncover so much more
Yeah,
within ourselves when we are going through that process of raising tiny
right.
humans. Yeah. So
Yeah, right. Well, and praise God that I'm not the same person at 50 that I was at 20.
absolutely, we're here to
Right?
grow,
That's
right? So we're here to
not
learn
where I
and
want
to
to land.
grow and hopefully evolve a lot
Right.
more. So Liz, was it a similar
Yeah,
story for
yeah,
you?
yeah.
A little bit. I had my first. I have a 16-year-old son, a 14-year-old daughter, and a 5-year-old son. So there's a little 10-year gap in between my older two and my little guy. Um, and I had my first two children in my 20s, and at that time, my career history is in contemporary modern furniture. So I was working
Lovely.
for companies overseas and doing quite a bit of travel. Um, and we needed the money when I was in my 20s and 30s. We needed the money. So I felt like I missed out a lot when they were little. I was lucky in that my mom was willing to help me raise my kids. And
Mm.
also, I had a
Mm.
nanny. Um, but it was this constant feeling of guilt. Like if I left a meeting early,
Yeah.
right, to go to the soccer
Yeah.
practice, I felt like I was shortchanging my job. And if I missed the soccer practice or the game, then I felt like a terrible mom, right? So it was, yeah.
Absolutely. It's one of the, as soon as you become a mum, you feel guilty no matter what
I
happens.
felt
Am I
guilty
right?
working out. If I stopped at the gym for
Yeah.
30 minutes,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
do some exercise and clear my head, I felt guilty for taking care of myself. So it
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
it was hard.
And often you don't then, don't you? As mums, do you find that often sometimes that gets put on the
Yeah.
back burner? And I noticed you said that, you had your mum helping you and your nanny helping you,
Yeah.
but I am sure that you were still, as soon as you finished work, your sleeves are being rolled up and you had to then get on with it. So it's not like you could put your feet up when you got
No.
home. You were still really
Yes.
working hard.
Yes. I was very
Yeah.
burnt out. And that
Mm.
that lasted for about a decade. And I had this false belief that as the children got older, me traveling and being gone overnight would get easier. And that's not true.
It's not, is it?
So
No.
as the children get older, they need you more. And
Yeah.
as they started approaching teenage years, and then oops a daisy, whoops another baby when I was almost 40. I thought, okay, what am I going to do here? And I became very, and this is maybe not, I don't know how to make this sound lovely, but the allure of making money wore off as I approached 40. So
Mm.
that seemed very important to me in my 20s and 30s, but I started to think about my legacy and my impact. and what I was giving my time to, right, outside of my children. And so I left a very lucrative career to focus more on raising my children. And then Candice came along, and she had the seed of the Aurora Network planted in her heart for many, many years. And when she talked about creating a company of women, Christian females, helping other Christian females achieve their goals and dreams on their life path, I thought, this is it. I'm in. Count me in. This is what we're going to do. Yes.
Wow. That's perfect. So tell me how you guys met and how this all came about.
So Liz and I were at a retreat with a bunch of other folks, and there was a light in her, and she was just so kind and generous and fun and interesting, and that light sort of sucked me in, and I was like, wow,
What
I
a
need to be friends with
lovely
this
thing.
person.
Oh,
She's
how
just an amazing
lovely.
human. And well, well, we sat there and we were in this group environment where we were all talking through things, and she said, I want to be friends with all of you. I'm not a catch and release kind of person. And I'm like, oh, I'm not a catch and release person either. But I'm only a catch and release person for a select few people, because I just don't have
Yeah.
time to give everybody that access. And I'm like, okay, I wonder how I can be one of those people that is still in contact with her. And we just kept contact. And then it was probably 3 years before we talked about
Okay, so
Aurora.
now, oh, sorry,
No,
Liz, go ahead.
we built the friendship first and then the business.
Yeah.
Candice, I was able to lure her down to Florida for a few vacations.
Well, I'm sure that wasn't very hard.
I was like,
It was really
come to
hard.
my
It
island.
was
Let
really
me
hard to
show
get
you."
me to Florida. Yeah.
And so it just kind of evolved just through our conversations, and both of us wanting more, wanting to help women, wanting to leave an impact, but also wanting to maintain the flexibility to be there for our children. So it just kind of grew from that, I would say.
That's absolutely brilliant.
Well, and there were a lot of conversations, but between the two of us, but there were also a lot of conversations with God, because this vision was planted on my heart when I was probably 15, and it has evolved obviously over the years, and through all of it, God, this is not mine. What do you want to do with this? Because I just kept being drawn back to Liz, and we fleshed it out and talked about it, and
That's amazing that it's been in your heart since you were
it became this thing
15.
now.
So we were at this point now, you've met Liz, and you've been, talking for the 3 years, and then you decided it's coming to fruition. So what is the Aurora Network?
Yeah.
Oh, sure. So the Aurora
Liz, you wanna
Network is
speak to
a
Aurora?
group of female Christian life coaches, speakers, teachers, mentors. So we're at the point now, and Candice and I were we didn't know what we didn't know when we thought, well, we'll just get all the technology and we'll just set up the company, and that'll take, a couple weeks, and then here we go.
Yeah.
No. That was all last year. So to build the house, right, for Aurora to start attracting the right people that we want to work with, and then get them equipped to go out into the world and serve women. So there's a lot of amazing coaches, mentors, this kind of thing out there, and they do it alone, right? They live that you can, right? You can do it from your house, from a computer. But having that community when you're someone that wants to support others, to connect back into, where you can pick up the phone and talk to each other and do the work together, that's the beauty of Aurora and why we created it.
That sounds so amazing. Go ahead, Candice.
I think part of it was a desire to use the gifts and talents that we had been given. Liz and I are both really good at business development and creating the operations and the structure and the format and the foundation and the walls of the house, right? We're good at operations and marketing and legal and all those things. And a lot of women that have a lot to give don't want to do that piece. So it hinders them from
Right.
entering the coaching space or the mentoring space, which is tragic because they have so much
Yeah.
so much to give back and a desire to give back. So we wanted to take that piece off their plates, and just let them do what they do best, which is mentor women. And we have such a strong desire for, like, look, none of us are perfect. Liz and I aren't perfect. I'll be the first one to say I'm a big old hot mess sometimes. Yeah. but that doesn't mean that we don't have a lot to offer. And so we wanted to offer the gifts that we had, but we also wanted to clear the path and open a way for other women who have this desire to help other women have a space to do that in, and maybe not,
Yeah.
maybe avoid some of the
Alone.
burnout that you get by doing it
Yeah.
on your own. A community that can pray for you and hug you virtually, and I don't have to do the accounting. Yeehaw. So yeah, that was the first
Oh my
step, I
goodness,
think,
it
was
sounds
establishing
really
that
amazing. I
structure.
love that you've discovered that, yeah, some people like to do things on their own and they have to be these solopreneurs who do everything. And there's so much detail that goes into running something like that. But then there are a lot of ladies who don't actually have gifts in some of the, as you say, foundational areas, but you do. And it almost feels like those foundations, you're supporting these women to be able to then go out and, as you say, help other women. Whereas without that support you're given, they might not have been able to, that might have been their stumbling block to do that at all. And isn't it wonderful when you do things together? Is this synergistic thing, as like Stephen R. Covey talks about, where when you work together, 1 + 1 is not 2; it's so much more. And so the fact that you want to bring that to sort of
Absolutely.
women around the world, that's absolutely wonderful. And so, whereabouts are you? What stage are you at the moment?
We have a good bit of the structure really, really well put together. I think we have discovered that it's never going to be perfect, that it's always going to be evolving.
Yeah.
And I think we're okay with that. But we're ready to roll out. We're getting ready to actually roll out a certification program. There are a lot of certification programs out there for coaches, but there aren't any for Christian coaches that are doing what we do. So we created one. So we're getting ready to roll that out. We're getting ready to roll out a group and individual coaching platform. I'm calling it the Biblical Balance Blueprint, which is a mouthful. or B cubed, because that's a mouthful. And I'm hosting my first in-person retreat in October. So I think we're ready to go. We're doing it imperfectly.
If you wait to be perfect, it will never happen.
We're ready to serve. Amen, sister. Yeah, we're ready to serve, and we've got some great options to do so.
Amazing.
So it's really cool. Oh, we also have our first coaches retreat set up for January. Do we not, Liz? Liz is like, stop talking. And I get excited.
So that's exciting. The coaches like on board? Are they coming? Are they excited?
We haven't told them yet. I guess we're telling them now.
You've got a retreat.
We're luring them to Florida we're luring them to Florida with promises of sunshine and
you
fill
will
your
not
cup
find
back
that
up.
hard to lure them to Florida. That sounds amazing. And you're talking about this sort of it's for Christian women. So clearly your faith is very important to you. For me, spirituality is like the foundation of everything. Perhaps both of you can tell me a little bit about your spirituality and how that's helped you throughout your life. Liz, should we start with you?
Well, I was raised in the church, but I didn't understand how to have a personal connection with God until I was about 17. And I went to a youth camp. It was through an organization called Young Life. They still do group camps, right? And they brought the message of Jesus and forgiveness in a way that my 17-year-old brain finally, like, it clicked, right? I got it. Um, and that was it for me. I began my walk with Christ at that point. And I've just fallen deeper and deeper in love with him as the years pass. So I'm still very plugged in with my local church, but my daily time with God is a non-negotiable for me. And what that looks like in my life is my feet have to be on the sand. I prefer it to be sunny, but it could be raining. I still go. And I
Well, you're in Florida, it'll be warm anyway,
it
right?
takes 12 minutes for me to from my front door to have toes in the sand. So I walk up to the beach, and I know that God is everywhere, but for me, he's just a little bit more at the beach. I don't know why. Right? That's where I connect. And
Yeah.
I walk, and I always just thought that was me being strange, but I learned the science behind it, that when you're moving your body in that way, it gets your right brain, left brain going at the same time. So you really can think through. And then, I'm just a crazy woman talking out loud to no one on the beach. And I just tell God everything that's going on and everything I'm struggling with and everything I need help with and everything I need forgiveness for. Um,
Oh, that's
yeah. And
lovely.
it's pretty rare for me to miss a day. That would be unusual.
That's wonderful. And so you've had this roughly since you were
Yeah.
17, the general
Yeah.
practice. Wonderful. And Candice, how about you?
Well, my faith journey is very similar. We were raised in church as well, but and I don't want to say it was a superficial. It was just always really. I don't want to say it was a superficial relationship. It was just always something that was there. It's really easy to take things for granted when they're always there. But when I told you, Aurora was laid on my heart when I was 15. From 13 to 18, there were some really, really, really big, heavy stuff going on in my life. And when I was about 15, I was ready to end it all. And God rescued me from that place and laid it on my heart that, hey, we're going to keep going and we're going to get through this. And we're going to use this. We're going to use this tragedy and this trauma to help other women. And so it sort of became almost a mission throughout my life to nurture and help women, whether they're in a really hard place or whether they're in a mundane hard place, because women are spectacular creatures, and even the quote unquote easy stuff is hard because it matters to us. We take it very seriously, and we're just women are special creatures. I'll leave it there. But so my mission from 15 on was to figure out what he wanted me to do, figure out how to get out of my own way and use the gifts that he gave me. For instance, when I was 15, I was so shy I couldn't speak to people, so this interview would not have been a possibility. So I set about fixing that flaw in me, but through all of that growth and whatnot, I walked with Jesus on all of those steps, and just like Liz said, falling deeper and deeper in love with him, and realizing that created for more concept is true no matter what your circumstances are and no matter what you're facing. It could be anything from the kind of junk I was going through to my kids are struggling in school. There's just this side of heaven, we're never going to have perfection, and that walk with Jesus has been the only thing that can account for what I've accomplished, and the only thing that has saved me time and time again.
That's amazing. And so both of you seem like you're very strong in your faith. You've got that foundation, you've got that rock, because life is challenging, isn't it? It's always going to have its ups and downs. So when you have that connection with something higher than yourself, it can make all the difference. And then, like you said, Candice, you had that very hard time when you were a teenager. Thank goodness you did have something else.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. And I think a lot of times people walk away from the faith during those hard times because they think either I'm irredeemable or
Mm.
how could he let me go through this? And that's, I think, I think one of the things that Liz and I are particularly passionate about is encouraging people, women. We work with women, but encouraging people that that's when you need him more, and he's not distant or gone. He's right there, and if you're questioning, you still belong here, and if you're uncertain,
Yeah,
you still belong here.
absolutely. And obviously all the challenges of motherhood as well. You need that sort of that assurance that there's something more, that we're here for a reason, and that things will always be beautiful in the end, because they are. I mean, nothing lasts forever. Even in our hardest times, it doesn't last forever. And so it's wonderful to have something to lift your spirit in the time. Thank you so much for taking the time to be listening to this podcast today. If you are enjoying the content, then can I just encourage you to like and subscribe? And if you would like to, go ahead and leave a comment. We always like to hear your thoughts. Okay, on with the show. Now, you say you work primarily with women.
Right.
I also love to work primarily with women. And as you say, women are special creatures. We really are. Not to negate the men, they are in their own right as well. But of course, we have this sense of camaraderie with other women, don't we? Because we have, especially when we become mothers, and we have this similar journey together. Now, one thing I find is that, generally speaking, and you've both given me your stories of how difficult it was when you had the children, obviously wonderful as well, and you wouldn't change it for the world, and we're so grateful to have these beautiful children. But because it is so hard and time consuming, do you agree that often it means that you have to almost set your femininity to one side, as in the outward ability to, because it takes time to have all the maintenance and the grooming, and I'd love to know your stories about your journey with your own femininity, because it's something that's very important to me, to encourage for women who are innately feminine, and most are. I know that some aren't, but most are innately feminine. So when you have gone through some time where you haven't had the time to express that, I don't know about for yourselves, but for me, it felt I felt more flat when I wasn't able to express certain aspects of my femininity, just because you're just haggard and tired. And I'd love to hear your stories of your journey with your femininity. So, Candice, about inside femininity and outside femininity, maybe you can tell me a bit about your journey.
I am stepping back into a season, and I wish I had focused more on this when I was younger, but shoulda, coulda, woulda, whatever. I'm stepping back into that focus on what makes me divinely feminine and uniquely feminine. I married somebody, and I'm not picking on him, but I married somebody when I was young who did not take the masculine role, and so that's why I set mine aside. I had to be mom and dad for my kids, and that did not work for us. I was also a litigator, so I was in court all the time, fighting, and that was that I had, because of my challenges in that space, I set my femininity aside and became more masculine in that role in order to function in that role. And then when my oldest daughter, was born, and I said, no, I'm not doing this, it's because there was something deep inside me that recognized that I couldn't continue down that road, and honor the mom and the woman and the wife that I was supposed to be. So I don't recommend this, but I pivoted out of that work role very rapidly. So it would have been better had I been able to step into a shift there. But I think there's something about motherhood, especially, that pulls to those feminine gifts that God has given us, and it's for me, it was trying to really be cognizant of what does my role as a mom mean, both for those children and for me as a woman. And I it's still a path I'm on, but having those coexist peacefully and well, because I don't want to set aside all of my gifts and talents and goals and dreams to be a mom, but I also don't want my pursuits to overshadow my tiny humans, right? So it's
It
a
is, isn't
lifelong
it?
pursuit of
It's a real
balance.
balancing game. And it's interesting, your story, because I do find that a lot of women do have to live out of their masculine a lot more than what might be native to them, just out of necessity, whether it's the partner you have or the career you have. And as you say, at some point that starts to wear you down and become tiring, because of course it's nice to have the balance where we all need to have that masculine side as and when something happens where you masculine would be the best thing to bring forward. But then if you can almost never relax into your feminine, I can just imagine for you that would have been very exhausting.
Right. Yeah. And it's when you find yourself uncomfortable to the point of just discomfort, something's out of whack. You just feel off. How do I get this back into alignment with where I'm supposed to be?
And so you said you're still on that journey.
Yeah, forever, right? Forever. I think that's gonna never stop. This side of heaven, I'm gonna keep working on stuff.
Absolutely.
And that's one of
so
the
Liz,
things.
tell me about your story with your femininity.
So my femininity is something that I naturally embrace, and I had to do that despite so my mother, who I absolutely adore, she went to college on a field hockey scholarship and was the captain of a field hockey team. I taught her how to put on mascara when I was 12 and helped buy a dress, right? So I think I was confusing to her because all I wanted to do was ballet. I still, I can't catch a ball. I can't throw a ball. I don't want to learn. I'm not interested. So, and I remember being in junior high and having one of my aunts say, "Why did you put on lip gloss for family dinner?" And thinking, because that's who I am. I like lip gloss and I'm going to put it on, even if I'm just going to check the mail. That's here I am, right? And when I entered the business world, and it was all men, I had some great mentors that said you have to be more rigid, more fierce. This style of, everything's got to be a win-win, and you're nurturing nature. It's not going to work. And I said, watch me make it work.
Oh, yes, you
right?
go.
And it wasn't long. I was still in my 20s where every big negotiation, they wanted me at the table, because women are there to create this balance where, hey, no one has to lose for everyone here to win, right? Like,
I love
and
that.
we can care for
Well done,
people's
you.
emotions at the same time. Just being in touch with, hey, I can see you're getting upset here. Let's pause for a second and, what's bothering you? And so I had to just, because I didn't know how to be anything other than who I am, I just had to keep going and hope that it would work, and it has. And I think part of it, honestly, so growing up as a dance was my sport. Some people say it's an art and not a sport, but it is both, right? It's a sport and it's an art.
Yeah.
But it's really the only sport where you're also creating art with your body, and the way you look so is important to people understanding the message of whatever you're trying to communicate through your dance routine, and the musicality of that. So if we had to rank other types of athletes on how they looked while they performed, right? I mean, you've seen the photos, like, people don't look, it's not pretty, right? So I think that gave me a skill set of, even when I'm physically in pain or uncomfortable, because of my dance background, I can still look feminine. And so that might be one of my secret superhero skills.
I love it. Yes, I have noticed actually that people who were trained in dance as they were growing up, they seem to keep this graceful beauty about them, even if they've stopped the training. It seems to always be with them, and I can see that in you. Very beautiful
Oh,
and
thank
graceful.
you. Yes. So I never felt like I had to set my femininity aside, even though I was advised to, because I don't know how to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's marvelous. And so for the ladies who are going to be joining you with your Aurora Network, both for the coaches and for the ladies who they are coaching, um, how is it going to look in terms of, because I really liked what you said, Liz, about the business doesn't have to be just dog eat dog. It can be a win-win. And so I'm really curious to see how this goes in your whole business with women who want to support each other. They want the win-win. And is this something that you're going to do on purpose, or do you feel like it is just going to happen that way? Because clearly with you ladies, it's not going to be dog eat dog. It's not going to be stepping on each other. It's going to be everybody wins. So is this something that you're putting into place ahead of time, or you're just confident that it's going to unfold that way?
All of the above, I think. I think we're creating a space where that's natural and normal way to function. And I hesitate to say not allowing, but we have no space, we have no room in our space for negativity and animosity and all of that. We're here to do
And I think
good
too,
work
you can
together.
keep that win-win
So
mentality without, like, I do see not all women, of course, but some women that are in like a comfort crisis, so to speak, meaning they've got to a stage in their life where things are kind of humming along comfortably. And that's also a bit of a crisis, right? If you're not pushing for your purpose and staying on point and on mission. But I think that the way that we would lead or encourage would be to inspire and uplift, not to condemn or
I
bring
love
down.
that.
Does that make sense?
Perfect sense. And I absolutely love
Mhm.
that. Yeah. So I'm
Yeah.
really excited about this Aurora Network. I'm sure it's going to sort of rock the world, and you're going to get loads of people who are going to be so grateful that you're bringing this to the world. And tell me a little bit about the way that you're going to unroll it. Like how are people going to find you? How are people going to learn about the Aurora Network?
Okay.
That's all you, babe.
Aurora Network.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
Our
Thank you.
marketing genius,
So
Liz.
what we're gonna start with is Candice is leading her biblical blueprint. I missed a B. Biblical balance build.
Yeah, the B cube,
Yes,
doesn't it?
balance biblical blueprint
Right,
group
right. All
online,
the
and
B's.
then offering coaching outside of that. And she is I think I've got her fairly convinced to work with a handful, small number of clients one-on-one. And then the other thing that we're rolling out at the same time is an online community that I'm going to be hosting about grieving the living, which is something that all women go through, where you have to let go of someone or a relationship, not because that person died, but because the relationship has forever changed. And I have seen a lot of women get stuck there where they're not able to move past the loss of a relationship of someone that is actually still around, you know. So we've got the online group for that, which is a community where people can share their stories and get just advice and tips and support for whatever kind of loss they're going through. And then at the same time, rolling out Candice's Balanced Biblical Blueprint with her online course and a small number of coaching clients.
Wow.
We also have the certification program that's rolling out. I think did I mention that before we started taping? We couldn't find a certification that encompass the Christianity behind our process. So we created one, and we have several coaches who are getting ready to go through that certification program so that they can start coaching one-on-one. And of course, we'll support them in whatever God leads them to do as far as serving our community. They'll be available to do that as well. The goal is to have as many resources as someone needs when they come to us, that we can say, yeah, we've got
that's
somebody
fantastic.
that can
So
work
for
with you on
ladies who are
that.
listening who are already sort of coaches in some way, could they sort of approach you to be part of your community? And then for
Yep.
wonderful. And then
Yes,
for
they
ladies who
can.
maybe want to be a coach, they're not necessarily a coach already, could they approach you then to be part of your certification program, to then be part of the coaches that you have on offer in your program?
Absolutely. The only thing I would ask is if you're watching this and you think that's something you want to do, can you just sit with Jesus for a little bit on that to make sure that that's what you want to do? We're not recruiting for the purpose of recruiting. We're doing kingdom work, and we want to make sure that you're equipped and that you feel good about your role, and that you know that this is what you're being called to do, and we'll walk with you through it. We would love to have
you. Yeah,
you.
because you want it to be from the heart, don't you? You want that to be their purpose. Yeah. Oh, that's the word. Authentic, for sure. And so for ladies who aren't necessarily a coach or don't necessarily want to be a coach, who would you say that your program is perfect for? What kind of women would you say that and what would they like? What would be their pain points that they would search you out and go, they're going to help me with my pain points?
So I think my answer to that is, if you're feeling deep in your chest that there's something missing, that you are created for more than this life of stress and discontent, and whether you're Christian or Christian curious, or on the cusp, we're here for you. We know that you are created for more. We know that God gave you these immense gifts and talents, and He wants you to live with joy and fulfillment. And I think the specific pain points, we can dig into that, but that longing deep in your soul, that's a God-sized hole, and we're going to address that first.
Yeah, well, and I think you and
Liz,
I
do you want to add to
are
that?
uniquely gifted to work on a little bit different things, right? So, what I'm inviting women that have lost someone that was important to them, and this is common in the workplace, right? Where your best friend at work or the boss that you loved is suddenly plucked out. They're just gone, and you're left alone in that workplace without your person. The parts of my story of my mom, who I mentioned earlier, who was my best friend and my spiritual mentor, was taken by dementia. So I still see her, right? I still see her. I can still hug her, but she is gone from my life in the role that she had for so many years. And what's tricky about that grief process is there's nowhere to place the anger, right? You can't be angry at the sick person. So then it's like, well, am I angry at God because He's allowing, right? So that whole process. And then also the pain from my divorce, when my high school sweetheart and the father of my 3 children decided to leave. And that was about 4 years ago as well. And so that's still someone that I talk to every day, that we are raising 3 kids together, but his role has forever changed in my life. And I when I was going through these losses, the people that are still very much alive, I was looking for the self-help book. Who wrote the book? Who can tell me how to keep my physical body, my spiritual body, my mental health, all these things intact? And no, there was nothing. Right? There's a lot of information if someone died, that grief process, but not what I was going through. So I'm offering the group that I wish existed when I needed it so that women that are feeling
Yeah.
stuck, like they can't move forward because they've had this loss and they don't know how to process through it, I'm now in a place where I can walk women through that journey and help them get out of the valley and back up, headed to their next peak in life.
Wow, I can only imagine how valuable that is going to be to so many people. And as you say, I haven't seen anything like
Well,
that anywhere. Now, would this also be useful for people who choose to separate themselves from some people in their lives? Is that something you would also use it for? Because I was listening to I think his name is Simon Sage, and he was explaining how important it is if you want to elevate yourself, that it's really important who you're in the room with, who you surround yourself with. I mean, if you want to elevate yourself, but you're surrounded by people who are pessimistic or negative, it's going to bring you down. It's just the way it works. You won't be able to help it eventually, no matter how much you've got the willpower. So potentially, people who want to elevate themselves, they will have to choose to separate themselves from people who they know bring them down. So I'm assuming this would help in that situation as well.
absolutely, because it's still a loss, right? The change is so hard.
Yeah.
And it's funny that you bring that up, because I was speaking to a woman yesterday, and I'm not sure if she's going to join the group or not, but she had to separate from her mom, who she had loved, because of some lifestyle choices that her mom was making in her, later adult years, that were just not healthy for her to be around. And the loss for her, it looked the same as the loss for me. My mom didn't choose dementia, but it's just what happened. And I can't relate to her the way I used to. So whether you're the one making the choice to move on, or it's something that happened to you, it's still a loss, and there's still a grief process. And I always thought, when you look up the cycle of grief, and there's like, first there's the denial, and then there's the sadness, and then there's the anger. So I thought it was like this little like loop, and then you just got done, right? No, it's like a right? It's up and down and sideways, and one day's anger, and the next day you can't even believe it's happening, and then you're sad all over again. And so it's not some kind of pretty little perfect process, and it looks a little different for everyone, depending on the size, the scale, the scope of what they've lost, the person that they lost.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, that's wonderful. I can only imagine this is going to be so valuable to so many women. Are there any other little anecdotes or any little details that you think people would be really interested to hear about it?
I think we
I just
covered
think
it.
if
You have anything else you want to add, Liz?
watching this and listening to this, and your heart, you felt the nudge, the God nudge, right, to help women, um, come to our website, send
Right.
Candice an email, send me an email. We want to connect with you. We are working our collection of beautiful souls of women that want to help other women. So if what we're describing sounds like something you want to be a part of, we are in a growth season, so now's the time.
Marvelous. Absolutely. And so now, ladies, could you talk to the mums who are listening who are not at your level yet? I would love to hear a couple of things from you both, if that's okay. First of all, what did you not have as a mum that you wish you did have, either during the process of raising children, but also maybe during that process of rediscovering yourself and bringing your wants and desires to the world again? So what would have been really great for you to have that you did not have? But also, could I have your best advice, for women who want to thrive and bring their own dreams to the world? So Liz, should we start with you?
Sure. I would say when I was a new mom, right, for the first time with my son, I felt like the things that were happening inside my body as I recovered from the C-section, the thoughts and doubts and fears I was having I had to keep them a secret, and no one else would understand. And all the other moms on Facebook, at the time Facebook was like the big thing. They just look, everything's so perfect, and they're so happy, and their children everything's great. And now that I've had another child close to 40, I realize that's all a bunch of garbage. We're all stressed out. We're all, so I would say,
Absolutely.
reach out to your friends or, get a coach or whatever you need. What you're going through is completely normal. All moms have those same doubts, fears, questions, uncertainties. And honestly, it's a sign that you're introspective and that you're a good person if you are questioning what you're doing. So it's totally normal and okay. And I wish someone had said that to me, because I thought, if I don't look like I have it all together, people are going to know that I don't fully know what I'm doing. Well, none of us fully know what we're doing, right? We
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah.
We're just
No.
learning. And I tell my oldest son that all the time. Every time something new, I'm like, well, you're the practice child. Everything you do is for the first time. So I'm going to go try to find a resource or read a book or whatever and try to muddle through this. But we're all trying to figure it out as we go. And I want women to know that they're not alone and we're all doing the best we can with the information we've got.
Definitely. And so in your sort of, now that you're what I would call a very successful woman doing something that really makes your heart resonate, do you have any advice for other women how they might be able to achieve that for themselves?
Oh, is that for me or for you, Kim?
Yeah. Yeah. That's your
Oh,
second
that was
question, Liz.
my second question. I would say community. Get yourself a community of other women that you can relate to that are going through some of the same things. You're not meant to do this alone, whether it's a community in your own town or if Aurora Network can be your community. But I would say find your people and don't be.
And they'll pull you up. They'll help you. Yeah. If you've got the right people around you, that will help pull you up. Definitely. Thank you. So, so Candice, what do you wish you had that you didn't have?
Well, I would reiterate everything Liz said, but I'm also going to add, when my kids were little, 20 years ago, 22 years ago, that we didn't have the resources that we have available to us now. And, 40 years ago, when we were kids, our moms didn't have the resources that we had 20 years ago. So like it's this whole cycle, and we have a whole lot more available to us now. And I think community is probably the most important piece. And no matter what that looks like, whether it's, a group at church, one single friend that you can call no matter what, find your people and love them hard and give and take. I was always really, really hesitant to reach out because I didn't want anybody to know that I didn't have my act together. I didn't want anybody to know that I was struggling. And so I was really, really nervous about saying, hey, I'm really struggling with this, or I'm very sad today, or I'm very tired. I didn't want anybody to know that I was struggling, and that's just baloney. We're all a mess, and that's okay. So don't be afraid to ask for help. Find your people, and if you don't have people in the moment, or if you do have people in the moment, but they're not the right people, don't be afraid to move on or separate just a little bit, or seek out additional people. That all of that's okay. And the other thing is, you don't have to do everything. Your kids don't have to be in 27 different things, and you don't have to be child enrichment when they're 3 months old. Like, just enjoy the moment. It goes so fast. I mean, the days are long, but the years are so short. So just and be in the moment, enjoy the moment, and do the best you can, and just know that is good enough.
And as a woman who's so accomplished, for women who have a dream and they want to strive for it, do you have any advice?
I do. I really do, because people tend to look at me and go, oh my gosh, she has all of these accolades and all of this accomplishment. And that's true. But girl, I'm 51. So it didn't happen overnight. It was a roller coaster of things, and it was a trying stuff, and that didn't work. So I'm going to try this. But what I was always willing to do is be very true to my inner nudges. The Holy Spirit will nudge you in one way or another if you will ask him for guidance and sit and listen and then be obedient. So do not be afraid to try new things. Do not be afraid to say, I have this dream and I don't know why, and it doesn't make any sense. Because if your dreams don't scare you, they're probably not big enough, and you're probably not listening to the nudging of the Holy Spirit. So be unafraid, be unapologetic. Try something. If it doesn't work, try something else, and don't expect it to be all overnight. It's a journey. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. And just enjoy the journey.
Yes, absolutely. If your dream doesn't scare you, it's not big enough. And listen to those inner nudges. Yes, we have to trust ourselves, don't we? Ladies, oh my goodness, you both are so inspirational. What beautiful women. I love having women like you in front of me, telling your stories, inspiring other women. I can't tell you how thankful I am for both of you. Liz, Candice, I wish you the best of luck. I will put all of your links, everything on the show notes. Just quickly, is there a particular Facebook page, or for people who are just listening want to quickly check you out, is there a particular Facebook page or website that's best to go to?
Yep. AuroraNetwork.life.
Everything is AuroraNetwork.life.
Okay. Yeah. AuroraNetwork.life.
And on social media.
Lovely. Okay, well, I hope you have the best day, and we are going to keep our eye out for you, because you guys are going to do big things. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth.
It's nice so lovely to be with you, and you have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Once again, thank you so much for having taken the time to watch this podcast. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you have some comments, I do love reading them, so go ahead and leave a comment for me. If you're a mum and you have an inspirational story that you think would help other mums, then why don't you get in touch with me at info@mamastimetosshine.com, so you can also be on the podcast. And if you haven't liked and subscribed yet, please go ahead and do so. Okay, till next time. Bye.